Chapter 1-30. The undead king attacks the hero, trying to pierce him with his sharp claws in a jump. Luo Chen picks the perfect moment to attack. He forms a magic circle in his hand, from which a ray of golden energy shoots out. The enemy doesn't believe this is possible. The hero's attack tore off the arm of the opponent, who believes that Luo Chen is just a mortal shell of an ordinary person, and even if he had magic devices, it would still be impossible to awaken in an instant. As the undead king talks about this, his lost limb grows back. The guy also suggests that the opponent try again after such words. Columns of blue energy burst out of the enemy, which take on human faces. He thinks that the hero is trying to bluff, so he repeats his attack. Luo Chen doesn't move from his seat. This time, he concentrates more energy in his attack, and then attacks the undead king again, who realizes that the true essence of Yang. This makes him wonder just who his enemy is. The hero comes forward. Noticing that the opponent still believed that he really woke up, he only points out that this is not so surprising, because he completed the Divine Kai awakening 1,000 years ago, and it was easy to repeat it again, although even then, it only took him a minute to awaken. The evil spirit also says that the guy should not be arrogant, because he just woke up, because of which he will be able to use True Kai only a few times. So if he does not manage to defeat the undead king in 3 strikes, then at least he will do everything to make the hero he died with it. Luo Chen considers the opponent naive, and then parries his attack with his punch, but the enemy simply evaporates. The Celestial realizes that it was an illusion made out of a corpse puppet. At the same time, his enemy had already left the building. It turns out that he can't recklessly risk his life for a certain person. After all, for 600 years he endured inhuman torment in order to finally find a new life. The undead king decides to devour all the people who got here, so that later he can return to the person and get even with him. The police who went in search of the girl are the first to fall under the distribution. At the same time, the police officer can't believe her eyes, because then she saw the body of a woman who is now standing in front of her. The interlocutor asks her not to be afraid, because even though she is already dead, she is still different from the unintelligent evil spirits. The girl decides to ask for forgiveness, considering that they were too carefree about this investigation. The aunt explains that going to Panlongwen was her own decision, which she had nothing to do with. The woman emphasizes that the police officer treated this case in good faith, because otherwise she simply would not have been here. The girl decides to ask if her aunt knows the reason for what is happening in the area. The interlocutor wants to tell us who really was the instigator of everything, but she is interrupted by the voice of police officers from the street. Several of them are heading towards the house. Xia Jingjing, he doesn't understand why the police are here. One of the guys starts knocking on the window, asking to open it. He looks inside. The guy recognizes the girl, and then says that he is from the law enforcement agencies of the Anping district. It turns out that he had come looking for them by arrangement with their Zhu department superiors. The policewoman looks at her aunt, who nods approvingly. She remembers perfectly well that she was told not to open the door before, but she decides to do it because the woman approved. A member of the fair sex lets a guy into the hut, but before he can be happy, the undead king grabs him by the head, who immediately turns the boy into his pawn. He thanks them for opening the door. Auntie 1 realizes that it was a trap, but they don't have time to do anything. The undead leader grabs Xia Jingjing by the throat. The monster sees fear and a desire to escape in the girl's eyes. He lifts the cop off the floor with one hand. She's shaking all over, trying to free herself from the stranglehold. The undead king understands that bespectacled scoundrel has specially set up a magic barrier here to protect this girl, which means that she is of some use. He thinks for a few moments. Xia Jingjing doesn't intend to die. She wriggles out of the monster's grip, then falls and kicks it with her foot. The undead king gets serious. Several scarlet energy paws appear from its body, pinning the girl to the floor. He notes that her daring deserves praise, but nothing more. A beam of dark scarlet energy shoots out from the dead man's hand, which is about to break through the police officer's head, but the aunt covers her body with Xia Jingjing's. Before she dies, the woman remembers Shen. One day, she contacted her son via video link. The woman notices that in a few days there will be a new year. She asks how her son is doing. She recalls that the guy had to find out in a few days what date he could come. The woman notices that she will prepare food for him. At the same time, the young man is corresponding with his superiors. He asks the director of NU to postpone the deadline so that they can organize everything properly. The boss says that he has already signed the corporation's agreement, so he will need to approve the project in early spring. The guy tells us my mother was told that he wouldn't be able to come for New Year's. The woman is dissatisfied with the fact that her son has not come to her for the new year for the 2nd year. He also explains that he has a lot to do. The woman notices that there are a lot of things to do, but this does not mean that you cannot rest and you cannot return home. She is worried that her son will ruin his health. She encourages him to take care of himself. My mother remembers what happened at the Mid-Autumn Festival. She'd lived in the apartment he'd rented for her for 3 days, but she'd only seen him once. He just came, ate, and left again. She was beginning to get the impression that her son wasn't going to work, and that he wasn't going to work. He is a serf. These words make the guy lose his temper. He notes that now everyone is ready to exchange their lives for money. And if he did not do this, they would live forever in the village, and all their lives others would treat them with disdain. The son recalls that moving to Tongju cost tens of millions, and relying on the pennies that the mother earns with her scams is stupid. He doesn't like that his mother spends her days studying witchcraft and feng shui, because if she had been doing something serious back then, Dad wouldn't have had to work 2 jobs and wouldn't have been hit by a car. Memories jump. The guy goes to that multi-story building that is being built in Tongju. His phone rings sharply, forcing him to step away. Aunt Jane calls him. The guy assumes that it will be about his mother, so he admits that on New Year's Eve he overdid it, so he will sort out the business in 2 days and go home to apologize to her. The woman claims that Sheng doesn't listen to her at all. It turns out that his mother is ill. The guy immediately clarifies what she is ill with and whether it is a serious illness. The aunt does not know, but his mother does not even get out of bed, so the woman advises the guy to return immediately. Shen thanks the woman for letting him know. He hangs up the phone, thinking about what to do, because tomorrow is already scheduled for an inspection from the management. The guy did not notice that during the conversation he came to the cliff. Suddenly, a small piece of ground on which he was standing breaks off, causing the young man to fall from a decent height. He hits his head hard. Shen asks for help, because he doesn't want to die, because his mother is waiting for him. At this time, the king of evil spirits intervenes, who declares that if he wants to survive, he must fulfill his will. Dark energy envelops the guy who is calling for his mom. Chapter 1-32. The king of evil spirits is confronted by Shen, who, remembering what happened, begins to blame him for killing his mother. It turns out that there was a contract between them. The architect builds a tower of 9 evil spirits for him and helps him revive his spiritual powers, and the latter will remove his control and give him freedom. The guy notes that he wanted to see his mother, so he does not understand why the partner killed her. The latter grins, declaring that he is not the true criminal. The monster points a finger at Luo Chen, who enters the hut. The dark entity claims that if this man hadn't ruined their big plans, Shen would have been reborn long ago and reunited with his mother. The undead king urges the boy to unleash his hatred on the hero and kill him. Sheng obediently takes all these words at face value. Xia Jingjing grabs Luo Chen's jacket, telling him to leave quickly, because this guy is different from other evil spirits. At this point, Shen's transformation ends. A mantle appears on him, and a dark force literally hovers around his body. Luo Chen notices that the enemy's strength has increased a lot, so this is a good opportunity to practice. Luo Chen also notes that no one was able to implement what was said. The undead king doesn't understand how this is possible, since his enemy was able to burn his spirit. He also notes in his mind that Emperor Wuji's defensive powers are completely depleted, which means that his powers are weakened compared to what they were before. Xia Jingjing hides behind the hero, trembling in fear. The dark energy that shrouded Sheng's body dissipates. He realizes that the spirit of the king of evil spirits has disappeared. But now he will not be able to see his mother for the last time. He asks to be killed. Then a plump hand falls on the architect's cheek. He opens his eyes on his knees. His mother notices that her son is finally awake. The policeman is surprised that the aunt has not disappeared. Luo Chen also explains that this place has the effect of concentrating spirits and locking up the souls of the dead, so the scattered soul just needs to try a little bit, and then it can recover. The son apologizes to his mother, saying that he should not have said those rude words to her. The guy's face is streaked with tears, and the woman just says that he was always my mother's pride, so my mother could not take offense at him. The mother admits that it was she who did not have the ability to create a good environment for him. In Shen's mind, the following thoughts pop up. Memories of how he failed the exam because his mother couldn't calculate the answers to it. His classmates then mocked him, saying that his mother was a charlatan and could not predict the fate of people. The woman noticed that she herself forced her son to constantly work hard to get rid of the hardships that life in their family brought him. She saw how hard he was trying, so she always wanted to help, but she only added to his tension and irritation, so the one who should ask for forgiveness is her. Shen notices that his mother's spirit is beginning to disintegrate before his eyes. She's asking for her son live a good life. The boy's mother was gone, leaving a bundle of energy in his hands. After that, the hero approached him, noting that the time had come. It turns out that their meeting was an obsessive desire of his mother, and as soon as it was realized, these shackles immediately fell off, and as a result, she returned to the other world and entered the circle of life reincarnation. Now it was the guy's turn to make his choice. Sheng extends a bunch of Luo Chen's energy, stating that he didn't absorb people's souls, but only extracted some of the yang energy from them, so it shouldn't have had much of an impact, and that's all unclean spirits that were previously infected will be able to return to life in the human body. The hero also notes that if he returns all the souls, he will lose the forces that protect his own life. Then he, like that evil spirit, will disappear from this world. Shang realizes that Luo Chen has done him a favor before by not destroying him along with the evil spirit and allowing him to see his mother again and fulfill his heart's desire, so he will die without regret. The guy decides to tell us something before he disappears. While he was in symbiosis with this king of evil spirits, he felt special powers being awakened in this world. And these powers are very similar in their source of origin to Luo Chen's supernatural abilities. Shen suggests that even more extraordinary and frightening events are coming. He asks the master to take care of himself, and then disappears. Luo Chen is training in his hotel room. He sits in the lotus position, concentrating on his strength. He is distracted from training by the phone ringing. It turns out to be a superstar who decided to ask if he was free in the evening, because she wanted to invite him to dinner. The hero, continuing the training, agrees to this, specifying the time. The girl rejoices at this inwardly, and then sets up a meeting for today at 8 o'clock in the evening in Taniaju. She hangs up the phone, and then her friend walks in, who immediately notices that Bear has started to pick up a lot on what to wear on a date. She decides to clarify, who is this lucky guy? The superstar claims that this is one secretive and rather selfish man. This causes interest in Tina, who does not have time to voice her question because the interlocutor first decides to clarify whether the guy will reciprocate her if she confesses her feelings on the first date. Her friend begins to think that Bear is crazy. She pokes her in the forehead, emphasizing that the girl is a wonderful folk beauty, so she does not even imagine a fool who can refuse her. The blue-haired one says that if it was someone else, no matter who it is, then she would be completely confident that she could easily do it, but only in front of this person, she can't do it so easily. Tina, on the other hand, can't believe that their big star could have such serious concerns. A friend believes that this young man should have good financial capabilities, temperament and attractiveness index. Bear doesn't really know how good they are. The superstar reminds her that her friend has been with her for a long time, so she should know her character. A girl does not care about external things, but if you touch her soul, and even if he does not have a penny in his pocket, she will be ready to work with him. This causes Tina to laugh, because she notices that her friend is ready to financially support the handsome man. This slightly offends Bear, but she quickly calms down, claiming that although they don't know him very well, her intuition tells her that he is completely unusual, to the point that even she will find it difficult to get close to him. At the same time, Luo Chen is concentrating on his surroundings. He can't see anything within 100 meters. Everything is in motion and there is nowhere to hide. The dark-haired man has finally absorbed the seed that has the gift of all-seeing. It was restored with the support of immature dragon veins. The guy also noted that gray hair attracts too much attention, so he decides to temporarily return to the previous color. Meanwhile, at the Tongju Media Company, Director Zhang looks out of the window. Two people are standing at the entrance to the building smoking. These are Bio and Tao. Xingxin decides to find out if those people are still there. The man gives a positive answer, noting that they have been stuck like this for 2 days. The boss advises Sai Haman to leave Luo Chen as soon as possible, because after the events at Heiyu Villa 2 days ago, this Hong Bio's people guard the entrance to the company all day, but they do not pay attention to them, even if they see them. Director Zhang assumes that they are looking for Luo Chen. Xingxin supports this decision, noting that Luo Chen did not come to work yesterday because he ran into trouble and is now hiding, although it is not known how he escaped. But if Hong Bio finds out that she is his girlfriend, then tragedy may happen. Zai Aman is trying to figure out what to do. Xingxin recalls that it's a friend's birthday today, so it's a great excuse to meet up with the guy and break off everything. And if he doesn't leave it alone, then Hai will take the opportunity and fire him. The girl believes that after this, Luo Chen will not have any relations with her and their company, and even if Hong Bio looks for him, he will definitely not touch them. Zai Aman decides to agree to this. She calls Luo Chen, who is driving. She asks if he will have time to have dinner together. The hero also notes that this evening will not work out, because he has already arranged a meeting. Then the girl declares that she is not just calling him to eat, because there is something else they need to talk about. She sets up an appointment for him at 8 o'clock in Taniaju, then hangs up. The guy understands that this is a very pleasant combination of circumstances. Xia Jingjing wakes up at 8 o'clock in the evening. She takes a sitting position on the bed. Her shoulder is bandaged, and she feels a piercing pain. She realizes that everything that happened yesterday turned out to be a reality. She notices a strange black spot on her torso. At this time, a guitar player is playing in Taniaju. The hero comes to the party. Xingxin immediately notices that he came empty-handed. There is a deathly silence. Zai Aman assumes that the guy forgot about her birthday, but quickly realizes that this way she doesn't need to look for reasons to break up. Luo Chen clarifies whether today we have it's her birthday. Xingxin continues to push, saying how is it that he doesn't remember such things when all their colleagues know so well about it. The dark-haired man realizes that he has come to some Hongmen feast. The hero realizes that if only he did not want to reveal through Zhang Xiaoman what forces are behind Chen Kao, he would not have left everything like this, but for this reason, he decides to join them in this game today. Luo Chen apologizes to the girl, claiming that if she doesn't mind, he will go and buy a present now. The girls continue to mock him. One of them claims that this is the first time she's ever heard of it, so that you can buy an emergency gift for a girl on her birthday. A friend of mine notes that there is only a large supermarket nearby, and there are no roadside stalls. She also brazenly offers to lend him money. Xiaoman says that it is not necessary, because they are breaking up. Luo Chen agrees. There is a deathly silence. Everyone is shocked by such a quick, concise, and confident response from the guy. The girl approaches the hero, asking him to repeat the last words. Luo Chen fulfills this request. This confuses the beauty. She can't believe that this man is treating her so indifferently. She finally notices that the guy is completely indifferent to her. Xiaoman believed that he should have been kneeling in front of her and sobbing, begging her not to abandon him. And then she should have ruthlessly pushed him away like a stray dog, so that everyone here would know that Luo wasn't her match. The friend puts her hand on Xiaoman's back, asking if the guy won't even try to hold her down. Xiaoman asks if he'll even ask why they're breaking up. Luo Chen doesn't understand why he should ask this. After these words, the girl declares that the guy disappointed her. She decides to tell him everything to his face. Xiaoman says that if she did not feel sorry for him, he would definitely not be able to find a girl with such conditions, because he does not have a car, no apartment, and even to find a job, he needed her help. The beauty declares that in his entire life there will not be a girl who would like him. Here, a voice from the outside claims that this is not necessary at all. Bear intervenes in the conversation, saying that if you like someone, you can love their temperament, knowledge, character, and upbringing. But you can't love them just for real estate, cars, wallet, and prestige. Director Zhang and Xingxin are shocked that Lan Buyer herself came to them. The star ends her speech with the fact that otherwise it is a monetary and erotic exchange, so she clarifies why put them in the shell of love. Xiaoman doesn't understand what this is about at all. Bear pathetically walks past her. She touches the hero, saying that she has something to say to him. The star picks up the microphone, starting to sing the song. I like your cold attitude. Your little tricks are against me. I like your style of speech. The fight for you is too fierce. I want to take your hand and cross the road. We won't need many maps, because happiness is already at the next station. Luo Chen somehow keeps a straight face from such an emotional song dedicated to him. Xingxin was the first to realize that Lan Bear was about to declare her love. This causes the girl to go into shock. Director Zhang is also impressed. He asks me to pinch him because it can't be real. The superstar asks Xiaoman if she didn't want to ask what she wanted to say right now. Xiaoman is in such a state that she cannot answer, so the actress herself explains that she wanted to say that such a good man is quite difficult to find, and she just refused him, although this is very noble of her. These words sting Xiaoman, and she starts to scream, claiming that Luo Chen cheated on her. Xingxin also notes that from the outside, it is clear that all this was planned in advance. The third friend also joins in, calling them a scumbag and a whore. Lan Bear wants to speak up, but the hero steps forward. He asks if Zhang Xiaoman wants him to tell everyone about her dealings with Chen Kao. The interlocutor nervously gives a negative answer. Then colleagues start whispering, and the girl herself realizes that the rumors have already spread. Kai appears in the hall with a bandaged hand. The bandit notices that insulting a girl with words is such a talent, so if he has the courage, then he is ready to show him a couple of techniques. Director Zhang immediately takes Kai's side, stating that Luo Chen has long disliked him. The guy's girlfriend notices that if you don't teach him a lesson, he will really think that he is special. Having received recognition from others, the bully comes forward, noting that the opponent then does not complain that he, having trained for 10 years in sand, can only humiliate the weak because he will fight with one hand, so the brunette just needs to hit him once and that's all. Otherwise, Luo Chen wouldn't be able to leave on his own 2 feet. The hero turns away, saying that he is not interested. Kai asks if the guy is scared, but he doesn't care, so he attacks him with his whole arm. Luo Chen stops Kai with a single punch to the chin, noting that people like him, who can't even take a single blow, but who like to brag about their insignificance, do not arouse the slightest interest in the hero. After being hit by the guy, Kai falls to his knees, losing consciousness. Everyone around them takes a few steps back. They are beginning to fear Luo Chen. At the same time, Xiaoman can't believe his eyes, because Wang Kai was once a champion in Sanda, and Luo Chen knocked him out with a single blow. She's fine. He remembers that when they were at university, he didn't even know how to play basketball, and he was just a nerd. Xiaoman is trying to understand how her ex could change so suddenly beyond recognition. Kai's girlfriend tries to bring him to his senses. She's very worried about him. Xingxin calls the police, and Director Zhang comes forward, saying that he, as the director of the marketing department, is firing him. And in his characteristics, he will write down the reason for the dismissal, that he beat up a family member of his colleague. He wants to make sure that he never finds a job in his entire life. Lan Bayer doesn't understand that the man has enough nerve, because it's obvious to her that the fool started the fight first, and Luo Chen was just defending himself. The actress also notes that you cannot mix work and personal, because this fight has nothing to do with work. Director Zhang says that he doesn't need to pull any punches, because he is the head of this department and the guy's direct supervisor, so within this department, his word is law. The hero decides to clarify whether this means that the immediate superior can dismiss a subordinate without the slightest reason. The man gives the correct answer, adding that the brunette should immediately return to the company to collect his things. Luo Chen hands the phone to the star, asking them to call one number and tell them their address and that Luo Chen is waiting here. Lan Bayer is a bit doubtful about this, but still fulfills this requirement. Director Zhang doesn't see any danger in this, stating that even if the King of Heaven himself comes here today, it won't save the guy. Xingxin also notes that Luo Chen is simply he doesn't want to be embarrassed by what he pretends to be. Then a familiar girl with red hair comes out of the crowd. Kaya's girlfriend is the first to address her, asking her to arrest a rude redneck for hitting a man. The police officer approaches the hero, deciding to clarify whether this is really the case. Lan Bayer comes forward, saying that Luo Chen is innocent because these people started it first, and now they are complaining. Xia Jingjing recognizes the superstar. She is amazed that such a media personality is next to the hero, and even makes excuses instead of Luo Chen. The girl becomes interested in what is happening here at all. Director Zhang demands that the police officer not listen to this nonsense, because they went to the police and there is a wounded man in front of her eyes, so they must arrest the guy anyway. Xingxin only agrees to this. Xia Jingjing points out that this area is not under her jurisdiction, and law enforcement agencies have strict investigation restrictions. So if they have already contacted the police, then they should wait for another police officer to come. These words put complaining people in a stupor. The police officer notes that she is here on another case. She approaches the hero with a thoughtful expression, who decides to ask if she was looking for him. She gives a positive answer, stating that she wants to live with him. These words put others in a stupor. Luo Chen notices that they are not that close to each other. Xia Jingjing makes excuses, saying that it's not in that sense, because she just wants to live next to him. Mentally, she explains that it will be much safer this way. These words hurt the superstar. She comes forward, clarifying whether the police officer is used to using her privileges. Lan Bayer states that if she wants to confess to such things, she must do so on a first-come, first-served basis. Kai had already recovered. His girlfriend is amazed that two girls are competing for a man. Director Zhang notices that this officer is not a bit inferior to a superstar. Yes, and they are both extremely beautiful. Kai also recalls the words of his comrades that Luo Chen will never find a girlfriend in his entire life. Zai Aman thinks these fools are blind, because this guy doesn't even have a job. She's trying to figure out what's so special about him. The voice of a new actor is heard, who immediately apologizes for his tardiness. This person turns out to be Senior D, who is the HR director. Everyone is trying to figure out what he's doing here, because they didn't invite him. D approaches the hero, asking for forgiveness because he didn't know that he would also be here. He notices that he was nearby, and then asks if the guy will have any instructions for him. Luo Chen points his finger at Director Zhang, Xingxin, and Kai's girlfriend, ordering them to be fired. Xingxin is the first to break down, thinking that the hero is crazy. She doesn't understand the terms on which he wants to fire her, or even who the guy thinks he is. Director Zhang becomes suspicious, asking the girl to wait. He wants to clarify how Senior Dai just addressed Luo Chen. The answer puts everyone in a stupor, because the interlocutor tells that the director of Luo is the owner of their company. Xingxin takes off, thinking it's all a joke, because she knows perfectly well the standard of living of his family, because Luo Chen still studied with her and Zhang Xiaoman at the university. She just doesn't believe that you can become the owner of the company, being such a loser. Then Senior Dai shows some document. He explains that this is an electronic contract for the transfer of shareholder rights to the company. He urges the girl to open her eyes and look carefully, because Director Luo owns all the shares of their company, and he is the only shareholder. Zai Aman starts biting her nails in disbelief. She doesn't understand why he kept it from her. The girl feels bad that the true picture was exposed as luck would have it after they broke up, because if he had told her this earlier, she wouldn't have listened to those fools Hu Xingxin and Lai Rui. The last two girls realize that everything is true. Their faces turn pale. Director Zhang is trembling with fear, knowing that this is the end, because he just publicly said that he was going to fire the director. Senior D says that the HR department has already been notified of the three of them, and they will need to come to work tomorrow to complete the dismissal procedure, and after that they can pick up their things and leave. Xingxin says it's outrageous. She urges Luo Chen not to be so smug, because they will definitely get even with him again. Then another voice is heard from the side, clarifying who is throwing such ferocious words. Bio himself appears in the room with Dio. Director Zhang rushes forward, thinking this is his chance. He completely thinks that Luo Chen is this person's enemy. Bio also asks his subordinates to get ready. The man also mentally notes that if he can't deal with him, then Bio will definitely be able to. Plus, Hong had brought so many people to take him down, so he was bound to die today. The crowd calls the hero Mr. Luo, claiming that they were guilty. Everyone freezes from misunderstanding the situation. The underworld king of Tongzhou bows his head to Luo Chen, asking him to accept his good intentions. He also asks for forgiveness for his rudeness and behavior that night. This surprises Director Zhang, who is the first to recover. The hero goes around the guy, not accepting the gift and telling him to forget about it. Bio happily thanks for this. Luo Chen starts to leave the event. Lan Bayer asks to wait for her. Xia Jingjing clarifies where he is going. Director Zhang grabs Xingxin's arm, deciding to leave quickly. Chief bodyguard Bio appears behind the couple, stretching his arms and asking who it was that said he wanted to settle the score with Mr. Luo. The man points his finger at the girl, saying that it's not him, but they are already surrounded. At the same time, the hero returns to his room. The two girls followed him. There was a very ambiguous atmosphere in the room. Representatives of the fair sex are clearly hostile. They both can't stand the heat of it. Turning to the guy, Luo Chen still decides to clarify what the two girls are up to. Xia Jingjing claims that she wants to stay with him for a while. The star also recalls that the guy has already told her that they are not so well acquainted. The girl notices that after such a stay here will be very inappropriate. The police officer claims that she was looking for a guy on a serious case. Besides, she notices that she's not the only one who doesn't want to leave. The opponent emphasizes that they had previously agreed on a meeting, and this is still different from her uninvited arrival. The hero says that if they have nothing to do with him, then they should leave. The girl with red hair asks the guy to wait, stating that after yesterday's incident with him, something strange suddenly happened to her body. Hearing these words, a strange picture formed in Bear's mind. Xia Jingjing literally reads these thoughts of her rival, emphasizing that this is not what she thought at all. The star turns her gaze away, claiming that she didn't think about anything like that. In her mind's eye, she remembers that Luo Chen is not someone who easily succumbs to a woman's attractiveness, because even in that environment, he did not resent it at all and did not let go of his hands. While the blue-haired girl is thinking about this, her rival asks the guy to look at her problem. She pulls back her shirt, revealing the stain. Bear notices this and sheds her dress, leaving her in her sleep clothes. She doesn't like these dirty methods, but there's no way she can admit defeat so easily. He bows down to her, saying that she is also unwell. Xia Jingjing pushes the star away, asking her not to triple these ridiculous scenes. It opens up a problem area. Lan and Luo Chen see black spots on the police car. The first one thinks that this is some kind of skin disease, mentally noticing that girls should watch their bodies. The opponent is very hurt by this, but something serious does not have time to happen, because the brunette intervenes in the conversation. He explains that these are just the remains of the corpse poison of the king of evil spirits. But there is nothing to be afraid of, because the evil energy has exhausted itself, and this trifle will disappear in a couple of days. The girl has doubts, but the hero interrupts her, saying that it's up to her to believe it or not, and he goes to bed. The star mentally admires the fact that Luo Chen understands the art of healing. She only understands better that this is really a man that she likes, not at all like others. Xia Jingjing blocks her way to the bedroom with her body, declaring that she is not finished yet. She asks if the brunette knows director Wang Fu. The hero says he doesn't know him. The girl also takes out a document certifying that she is a police officer, after which she notes that now she suspects that the disappearance of Wang Fu is closely connected. Lan Bayer is also related to him. She calls on them to start cooperating with the investigation. The star is also amazed that Wang Fu is missing. The officer goes on to say that 4 days earlier, director Wang Fu went missing in Zuohai Villa, and through Otley's surveillance system, they found out that the last place Wang Fu appeared was in this room, and the last people who saw him that day were Luo Chen and Lan Bayer. The latter does not understand how this is possible. The hero decides to clarify whether the girl wants to arrest him again. He also remembers that he saved her after all, and she wants to repay him like this. Xia Jingjing claims that this is called distinguishing between work and personal. The brunette repeats these words, and then leans over the interlocutor, demanding to show evidence. The police officer recalls that she brought people to this room this morning to conduct a thorough search, but they couldn't find any applicable leads, and judging from the specific abilities that Luo Chen showed yesterday, there must be something fishy about it. She is aware that ordinary judgments cannot serve as evidence at all. She turns around and sits on the bed. This causes confusion in the hero, so he asks what she is going to do. The girl with red hair says that she simply won't leave here, although she doesn't have objective evidence yet. But since she is a police officer, she has the authority to monitor the suspect. A representative of the fair sex is sure that the guy will give himself away. Lambert notices that if the policewoman doesn't leave, then she won't leave either. She sits down on the same bed. Luo Chen makes a hand-to-face gesture, knowing that as long as he doesn't remove the restrictions on Wuji cultivation, he can't harm Puriang. He doesn't want to deal with them, so he decides to leave them alone and go to the next bedroom. The hero sits in the lotus position in the next room, concentrating on his energy, but a loud knock on the door distracts him. He opens the door. A student is standing in the doorway in tears. The girls are amazed at the appearance of another competitor. The hero decides to ask the student what the problem is. She wants to tell me what happened, but freezes. Lambert wonders who this girl is and why she calls him teacher. Schuinger, on the other hand, doesn't know what's going on. Seeing the two girls, she thinks that the teacher is having so much fun. The hero, noticing the strange behavior of the interlocutor, asks her to finish her thought. It turns out that Grandpa was ambushed and seriously injured. The disciple begs to be saved. Luo Chen asks for directions. The star and the policeman begin to quickly gather, not understanding where and why they went a guy, but clearly wanting to follow him. They go to the Yi family's house. The elder is lying in bed, connected to a medical device. The old man jumps a little at the sight of the hero. He doesn't understand why he came here. A picture is quickly forming in his mind. The doctor asks dear Yi not to worry. One of the people present is a little surprised that Mr. Luo, who has been talked about so much by esteemed Yi, is so young. Mr. Yi says that you can't worry Mr. Luo about such a small matter. Before he can finish, a bloody cough breaks out of him. One of those present notices that the elder's wound is too serious now, and traditional treatment will not be effective. The girl claims that this will not work, because the grandfather is already old and you cannot risk it. Luo Chen exhales languidly, asking everyone but the female student to come out. This surprises all the people in the room. The old man asks everyone to come out. Many people are dissatisfied with this decision, but still accept it. The guy asks the girl to help Grandpa sit down. He himself assesses his condition to himself. The power of the palm penetrated to the bones and damaged the innards. He was hit from behind on 2 acupoints of Zinshu. If you add in the fact that dark energy was used in this strike, and all his organs were completely twisted, then even if he didn't die from the touch of the palm, Oi would have suffered a lot of pain in his twisted organs, thanks to old man Yi's strong body. His earth spirit power is extremely lacking, because it has been too short a time since he awakened, and the accumulated power is limited, so he won't be able to use it for healing. But this small spiritual power alone should be enough to calm the dark power in his body. A clot of blood escapes from the old man's mouth. The dark-haired man says that he has recovered from his wound, but the old man needs to rest for a few days in a quiet environment. Grandfather and granddaughter thank the guy for saving them. Luo Chen decides to clarify what exactly happened. Mr. Yi says that once upon a time, being full of youthful fervor, he offended some people who had brought a great master with them, starting to take revenge on him. He was on his way back from the company last night, and just got out of the car when he was ambushed by the Grand Master. The few bodyguards who were with him immediately opened fire, and although they were able to successfully obstruct the enemy's actions, they were unable to inflict even the slightest injury. Ultimately, the attacker managed to break through the encirclement and injure him, as well as abduct third Uncle Schuinger. Luo Chen is a little surprised that the Grand Master didn't get any damage from the bullets. Old man Yi held onto the sheet with trembling hands, noticing that the guy was using an external display of inner strength, so he managed to do it. Then the elder remembers that Mr. Luo has demonstrated something similar before. The hero understands that if you use the power of Emperor Wuji before the Divine Kai awakens, it will indeed be possible to block bullets, but if you don't have his powers, it's hard to say whether it can be done. The guy becomes interested in what methods the so-called Great Masters use to avoid bullets. Luo Chen notices that since the enemy has captured Yi Xuangshuang's third uncle, he definitely wants something from them. The hero asks if he can take it with him. Mentally, he notices that he wants to take this opportunity and find out the real situation. Old man Yi confesses that the enemy is really pressuring him with the fate of his third son, and forcing him to go and settle accounts with him, but even though he wants to save his son, he doesn't want Mr. Luo to risk himself for him. The white-haired man emphasizes that although he knows the strength of the guy, but that Great Master is also not easy, and if the Great Masters join the fight, they will certainly fight until their last breath. The brunette assures that nothing terrible will happen. Schuinger looks at him worriedly, and esteemed Yi mentally understands that Lord Luo himself wants this battle. The wounded man thinks that being a great master, you need to be more careful when faced with the question of life and death. He assumes that the guy is still too young, but then dismisses these thoughts, realizing that he has no other choice. After such thoughts, the old man asks Mr. Luo to stay at his house for the night today, and tomorrow afternoon they will go together to the designated place. Further events will be held in Longtension Village. The great master fights in an open arena. Esteemed Yi, along with his granddaughter and Luo Chen, appear on it. Everyone present is surprised that he didn't bring Master Yu with him today. They wonder what kind of young man is next to him, who looks like a student. Shuinger decides to ask Bio about the current situation. The latter greets respected people, and then tells them that Master Chen, Mr. Qin, and Steward Zhang entered the arena, but they were all completely defeated. The boss of the underground world notes that there are no people left in Tongju right now to fight with him. However, Director Liu has brought back an unsurpassed master from abroad, but he has been hiding him all this time, waiting for the arrival of Mr. E. Director Liu orders his fighter to win, because then he can safely offer the price of his payment. This is the king of Thai boxing who enters the ring. It turns out that Director Liu wants to get the status of Tongju's boss. The Grand Master taunts the enemy that there are no people left in Tongju, since they brought a foreign monkey to perish. The king of Thai boxing attacks, but the opponent easily dodges all his blows. This makes him angry, so he loses control, which makes him open up a lot. The master strikes at top speed, claiming that the teasing monkey's time is up.